Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today is another LEGO Top 10 Mocks of the Week episode where we take a look at the 10 coolest creations that we happen to see people building throughout the week. Like always, all of the Flickr and or social media accounts have been linked to the original builders in the description below, and I highly recommend you check out their Flickr accounts usually, because if you like what you see in this video here, there's a good chance that you're gonna also enjoy some of the other creations that these guys and gals have made. So anyways, tomorrow is the Fan Mock creation episode where I show just the builds that you guys have personally submitted to us throughout the week. The proper email is also listed in the description if you wanted to send stuff over to us for tomorrow, Monday's episode. And let's start off with the very first build of the week. I feel like this is a good one to start off with. It's called Welcome to Portland. This is your guide by Patrick Biggs. Instantly, I recognized what on earth this creation was. I remember it from a viral video many years ago with a guy in a kilt riding a unicycle playing the bagpipes that has fire shooting out the top. As far as I can tell, he's pretty much nailed this look through and through, maybe minus the strap-on sandals. Out of all alternate creations from BrickVault figure pieces, those Star Wars BrickVault figs, I gotta say this is probably my favorite rendition. And then the number 2 build, or the second one up, or 9th one down, this is Korean War F4U4. Looks like one of the fighters that was being used in the Korean War, and it came from the builder Ralph Salvesberg. What I appreciate about this build is the wing design is absolutely awesome. I think the proportions are great, but I also really appreciate that this was a design that the builder had created 9 years ago and then completely revisited, and it looks like just about everything has changed up. I always like seeing builders recreate some of their favorite creations from years later with updated pieces and better techniques, and here I think it really paid off well. Great job, Ralph. And then number 8, moving down. This is just a fun one, and according to the description, actually an older build that the designer just forgot to post up on their Flickr. It's from Simon Liu, and it's called RexZilla. What I like about this is you can see it's not done in a classic Mecha Godzilla format. In fact, a lot of the proportions are very similar to how Rex from Toy Story looks. Maybe this version of the robot guy appeared in one of the Toy Story movies and I just don't remember, but you can see the alien green men from Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear as well. So there's definitely that aspect of the universe here. And personally, I think it's just kind of a fun build style here with all those layers with the sloped curve pieces. I've seen that technique used before, but not so utterly consistent with a build like this. And I actually think it works pretty well now that it's a fully completed project. Also, the ruins have some really fun build qualities too. Anyways, let's move on down to number 7. I am still full from earlier, having had some giant pancakes myself, but this is Berry Bliss Waffles by LittleJohn. The use of the navy blue beanie pieces connected to each other is, it's genius for blueberries, and those tan corner panel pieces are excellent for the waffle shape. I do wonder if LEGO will ever make a 1x1 corner slope that could maybe go onto the edge of the waffle there, but perhaps that wall would be a little bit too thin and kind of cut into that stud. Who knows? But that is a piece that maybe I would like to exist at some point. Anyways, awesome build here. Love the strawberries, the hot cocoa with the marshmallows. Let's move on. This is called the World War II Tomahawk Kaiju Interceptor. Interesting. I don't believe this is an official World War II plane. I certainly have my doubts. So I think it's kind of interesting that it does have the World War II title there. This is from the builder Albert, and though I can't say I'm a huge fan of the color combination necessarily, the building techniques used here are very noteworthy, and what ended up coming out was a really interesting design for a plane all in all. I can appreciate the flag pieces used for the rear rudders, and there's also a really smooth connection point between the rudders and the wings. It looks like the wings are also embedded with 8 machine guns, which is extremely heavy duty, and all in all, I'd say this is a really fun and interesting, unique take on a World War II era fighter. Now, the halfway point, number 5, we have an amazing micro scale model, and you can't really say it's micro by any extent of the word because it's an absolutely massive model. This is from Rocco Buttliere, and we have Mount Rushmore National Memorial. This was built as a 10-year milestone for the builder, maybe having gotten back into LEGO. I'm pretty sure, though it's unclear. And in the description, he says that in order to really get the full experience of what it's like to actually visit Mount Rushmore, it's worth including the visitor center as well as the foothills and the surrounding area. So I have a feeling all these little side side roads, and all the smaller details are probably pretty darn accurate as to how the Mount Rushmore Visitor Center and how the surrounding area looks in real life. And just wow, there's a lot of wonderful techniques used to make both the forests, the small buildings, the faces of the presidents are actually really good, and the shale or broken rock at the monument being loose bricks, loose little plate pieces is a wonderful little touch. I have no doubt that the scale of this project was a massive undertaking, but I for one certainly think that the effort, time, and energy that went into this model was absolutely worth it because it's an excellent final product. Now moving down to number 4, here's just a series of different rovers from the builder Frost. I know Mike was showing off rovers last week because it is part of FebRovery. I guess people like to make rovers in the month of February, and it's worth just showing the last few that popped up from Frost now that we've moved on into the month of March. Day 24 is a black and white series. 25 is a very weird one. It looks like an alien planet with only cat people operating the rovers. 26 is my personal favorite. That is an excellent use of that new windscreen that came from Unikitty's party bus, and also the figures that operate this area are awesome with the purple bodies, short legs, and green heads as a consistent look. This rover has a very interesting scorpion-like tail and feels, I think, closer to some of those older classic space designs ultimately. But speaking of classic space, the last day for FebRovery is something very much based on classic space itself, and it looks like this is the hot rod equivalent of any lunar or space vehicle, if I had to take a guess. All of those builds counted as one, by the way, and then let's move into the top 3. This might be my favorite of the week. It's called Frantic Snowman by Joseph Grysban. First off, the build for the snowman looks awesome. The expression is both satisfying and hilarious, but ultimately this guy wins out because it is a remote controlled snowman that runs around, and those snowballs behind him are chasing him or following after. They might just be kind of puffs of snow or air or smoke or something to show kind of a motion trail. Either way, the fact that this scared snowman runs around it's just a fun build all around. And I've linked both his Flickr as well as the Brothers Brick link because it looks like his original video is currently unavailable at the moment, but you can see that motion if you watch it from the Brothers Brick site. Regardless, this is a really fun model. It's just simple and it looks silly, and I have a feeling it works quite well. Number 2 is from Paddy Bricksplitter. He's been doing some amazing brick built characters, and this is the latest creation. It's called Gunsect, and what you've got here looks like a combination of Wild West meets 4-armed insect people. He's got kind of a Wild West hat with his little antenna popping through the top. It looks like he could be wearing something similar to a poncho, and even one of those odd-looking alien plants that makes up the stand around him is in the shape of that sort of classic cactus. Like always, there seems to be a really well fleshed out personality and universe to create around not just the character, but really create a whole scene with the character. And currently, this is one of my favorite brick building personalities that I've discovered for the year of 2019. And to finish off the final build of the week, it's called ZORIN Class Heavy Bot, or Butch Bunny, by iomedes or iomedes. This giant Lego creation was inspired by the Walking War robots, and this picture gives you a pretty good idea as to how big the size of this thing actually is. Now, generally speaking, I don't like to give points to a mock just because it's big, but when you start taking a closer look at the details of this model, you can see that this guy did not cut any corners when putting together just about any aspect. I mean, look at all of these weird, interesting building techniques. The armor has many layers and lots of rivets cut into it, and I have no idea how long it would have taken this guy to put this model together, but this is one of those year-long or multi-year projects if I had to take a guess. Ultimately, the combination of different colors for this robot make it a bit more interesting to look at. If it had just been gray or a series of grays, might not have been as visually appealing, but the tan and dark blue for the larger weapons looks great, and ultimately this is one of the more impressive larger Lego robots out there. So anyways, that is it for the top 10 Lego mocks of the week. Like always, I've also linked maybe 10 or 20 other builds that I really enjoyed, just didn't think they were the top 10. Please check those links out too if you have the time. Feel free to disagree. I want to know which ones you thought were the best. And remember, if you want your Lego creation creation to appear in the Monday fan mock creation episode. Our email is in the description below as well. Thanks so much for taking the time. If you enjoy our content, feel free to like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault. Hey guys, just popping in really quick, letting you know that we do have a Lego web store, www.brickvault.toys, where we sell the instructions, the PDF step-by-step instructions for some very, very high quality MOCs. I highly encourage you guys to go check it out if you want to help support us here at the channel, or the designers that spend their time building some really, really amazing creations. That's www.brickvault.toys. Thanks a lot for hanging out, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.